So, we're
God.
good morning.
Good morning.
We are live now, ladies
Oh,
and gentlemen. So we are, and I've got my baby tiger cub here with me this morning, as we are the Real Housewives of Real Estate, and we are down under with Rob Levy in Brisbane, Australia this morning. Welcome to the show. We're going to go ahead and do a quick introduction of who is here, and then we're probably going to keep laughing at each other as we're dressed in our Outback and rugby gear, because that's
how extra we are.
How we're starting this ridiculous morning. And it's actually nighttime in Australia right now. So Rob's been up late, we're up early, and we're ready for a great show. I am Kinsey Lee Eggles with Remax Realty Group in Southwest Florida.
And I'm Alexa Caballo Hughes from Connecticut. And yes, I'm representing my old Yukon rugby jersey, Division I tight head prop. That's what's up. Yeah. So I don't mess around, so don't make me tap on you on this call.
hey y'all. Oh, crikey.
I'm Felicia Beltran with Remax Associates, your Colorado connection.
And I'm Tabitha Wewell with Remax Beyond 2000 in Cleveland, Ohio.
Your turn, Maria.
Maria?
Oh,
She's frozen. Everyone freeze.
Everybody freeze.
Maria Script with
Hi.
that's Maria from Beaufort, Bluffington, Hilton Head, South Carolina.
South Carolina. Maria.
And she'll join us in a minute. I'm sure she'll be back.
Oh, she will. She will. and our special guest star today.
Hello, guys. I'm Rob Levy from Brisbane, Queensland, Australia. But originally, I'm a California boy, so my Aussie accent is not as fair dinkum as it probably should be.
But the hat is.
The hat is. This is a genuine Aussie hat, mate.
And so is the lingo.
Tell the story, because you told us the story backstage.
Okay, so would you believe that selling real estate is my 39th job in Australia, though I've been here for about 8 years? And one of the jobs I had was as a Greyhound bus driver. And I was driving through the Outback about 900 miles a day, and 900 kilometers a day. Hard to translate. And one of the stops was Hughenden. And there was an old cattleman at the rest stop, and he wore this hat all the time. And I used to make fun of him because I didn't really understand Australian culture. And I said, "What are you doing in that old beat up piece of hat?" And he said, "Mate, this is my hat. It's just me." And I said, "Can't you get a new one?" He said, "Yeah, I've got a new one. My wife bought me one for Christmas 2 years ago." So I kept picking on the guy. And eventually 6 months later, he said, "All right, mate, you like my hat so much? You can have it." And he put it on my head. So I ended up with this really gross 10-year-old Australian hat.
Well, I stole this from the neighbor, so.
You stole that. I'm wearing my son's fishing vest, and he walked out of his room this morning and he looks at me, he shakes his head, and he goes, "I'm going back to bed. I'm never going to be able to unsee this, Mom."
How old is he?
He's 11. And then he goes, "That hat doesn't look like you're going on any sort of safari." He goes, "It looks like Michael Jackson." And I'm like, "Well, okay, kid, this is all I've got." This is all I've got.
Go back to bed.
All right, so our esteemed guest, Rob, tell us how you came into real estate.
It actually dates back to a previous job I had in Los Angeles. I was a movie star home tour guide in LA, and it was $375 an hour for my tour, but it was only about $8.50 an hour for the tour guide because it's LA. And so I found that the best way to get tips was to take people from Texas or wherever they were from and say, "Hey guys, I'm going to pretend to be your real estate agent, and you're going to be pretending to be interested in buying a multi-million-dollar house, right? What do you mean?" Well, we'd pull up in front of a $40 million house and I'd say, right, you guys are going to pretend to be buyers, be on your best behavior. We're going to go, I'm going to introduce you to the agent. We're going to go get to see inside a $40 million house. So over the course of 3 years tour guiding, I got to see inside of Prince's house and a few other celebrities. And some of these houses were up to $120 million. And it was so much fun. And I kind of got the bug for it. And then when I moved down to Australia, I had about 38 other jobs, from working in mine sites to taxi driving to being a Greyhound bus driver. And I went, what do I really want to do with my life? God, it'd be fun to sell real estate. And I knocked on a door and the guy said, sure, mate, I'll take you on as an apprentice. And I sold for some dodgy Australian company for about 3 years and then came over to Remax.
That is awesome. I did not know any of that. And probably anybody else.
I have to say that you're the only guest we've ever had on that started their real estate career by crashing open houses with fake clients. Thank God you weren't a licensed realtor back then, because that would definitely be
unethical. That would be a violation of code of ethics.
And to our viewers, do not do that.
Yeah, look, I was 21, had no idea what I was doing. Some of the agents thought it was the greatest thing ever because they thought maybe some of these people from New York or Saudi Arabia or whatever would actually buy one of their houses one day. So eventually I got to know some agents that would call me and go, where are you today? Here's my house. Make sure it's on your tour.
I love it.
It was cool.
Rob,
They promised me a cut of the commission.
Rob, you're one of the most creative people, the most creative and animated people I know. So congratulations. That says a lot. And I love how your creativity.
Alexa, it's like looking in a mirror, right? There's a lot of creativity right there.
Now, speaking of creativity, so what kind of creative marketing are you doing? And what are you doing in this obviously very unfortunate pandemic? What are you doing to be creative and with your marketing?
Okay, so my theory is that everyone, even the people who are doing great right now, are doing it tough. And the last thing that people want to see in their Facebook feed is, I have something to sell, or God, even worse, I need your listing. Right. So what I've been doing is everything I possibly can to help the community. And the smallest thing that I've been doing is reading books to kids in the evening. So I've been going on my Facebook feed, and sometimes, are they here? No, my jammies aren't on the floor. Sometimes I've been wearing my jammies, and I say, all right, kids, it's story time, and we are reading The Hungry, Hungry Caterpillar. And in the light of the moon, a little egg lay on a leaf, right? So I post on Facebook, hey, parents, tonight at 5:30, it's story time. And we are definitely reading The Hippopotamus on the Roof of Our Caravan is Getting a Sunburn. So it's time for you to get a break, call your best friend, go make dinner, sit the kids down in front of the iPad, because I'm going to be reading them one of my favorite stories. And people think, you're a real estate agent. Why would you do that? That's crazy. Well, in my local groups, which have 25,000 members in the neighborhood that I'm in, I can reach everyone with something that feels good, gives them a break, is nice to do with their kids without doing any branding or selling whatsoever. So they're getting to see Rob Levy interacting in a positive manner 3 times a week. It's free marketing.
I love that. You know, I keep telling the girls that, you know, I kind of pulled back, you know, from the COVID. I don't know what it was, but it just really, really affected me. And I had a really hard time. I mean, up until we started doing the global shows, like I just felt like I was pulling back because there was so much uncertainty. And I'm sure I'm not the only person that feels like that. Anxiety was high, you know, just trying to figure out, you know, what direction to go with business. So I appreciate that. I love the creativity and I love the community service. So thanks for the idea.
I got to give a shout out to Kristen Long of Champaign, Illinois for that idea. I saw her doing that and went, wow, I can do that.
Yeah,
And,
Kristen is amazing. Love her. Absolutely.
She's an ass kicker. She is awesome.
That's awesome.
You know, she showed up to a Zoom meeting, a Zoom happy hour last week, and she was dressed like a deer, because she let her children do her makeup. And we were all laughing so hard because the makeup job was so horrible. She actually looked like a deer that got hit by a car.
Oh.
But she popped right into the meeting, and she's wonderful. Love her to death.
You know what?
Gotta have a sense of humor.
Yeah, always.
But the great part is that, I mean, think about this. What we do is we all share, right? We all met you, Rob, at Remax R4, 2 months ago. We were taking selfies on the rooftop, at the Italian suite overlooking Las Vegas. You know what I mean? And it's amazing that we're able to connect, share, like you got this idea from Kristen. Here we are taking another selfie.
Oh, hi. Everybody freeze.
But it's
Rob
just
is
a powerful thing,
selfies. Absolutely.
So, I mean, that's cool, and that's something fun that anyone can do. And then if you're a bit more video savvy like me or like some of you, what I've been doing that I've actually found really, really effective at getting business is working with local businesses that aren't as good as at marketing as I am. So my favorite butcher in Manly West, for example, they started a program where they're doing free deliveries of their meat so people can easily get out without, so people can easily get their groceries, especially if they're immunocompromised, without having to go out. But all they did is like a static Facebook post with some text about that. And I went, that's no good. No one's going to see that. So I went in there with my camera and I said, hey, the Butcher's Boulevard in Manly West is offering free delivery. And I filmed Nick the Butcher putting some meat in a cold box and him packing it up, and filmed him answering the phone. And I just edited about 5 pieces together so that I could make a video for Nick. Now that got seen by 1,500 people. And hey, the only Remax branding in it was the balloon, but I got stopped on the street a couple times this week in that suburb by people going, hey, mate, you're the digital agent, right?
Love it.
Yeah. Well, we don't have a house to sell, but we love what you're doing. And when this COVID thing, actually what they said is when this COVID thing fucks off, you'll be ahead of the whole game. And I was like, bloody oath, mate. Good on ya.
Okay, so moving into transactions now, what's the market like in your area, and how has COVID affected, business as usual?
Okay, so the market in my area has been extremely, extremely hot. Median sales price is probably about 775,000 Australian dollars, so about 450 to 500,000 US. But 750 to 8, that's a lot of Australian money, and for us. And houses do sell up in the $1.5 million to $2 million range at the top end of the street. So what we ended up with before COVID is a really tight market with about 1/3 of the houses for sale as last year. And then COVID hit and everyone went, holy shit, I don't know if I want to sell. So we ended up with another 1/3 less houses coming to market. So interestingly, all the sellers think, oh no, it's a terrible time to sell. And all the buyers think, oh my God, there's no houses left on the market. I'm going to be homeless. So we're seeing some fantastic prices right now, and people are still inspecting. There are no open homes allowed. And over here, we have no MLS. So we do everything by open home because all of us agents double end every deal. But without open homes, what we're using to get people into our houses is our 360-degree cameras. And the statistics from the #1 real estate website in Australia are that houses with 360-degree tours are getting 3,000% more engagement than houses that just have photos.
Wow. Bravo.
Wow.
Is that a theta?
That is not only a theta, it's the Theta Z1.
Ooh. Yeah. Rob is so fancy.
He is.
Yeah, I got it 2 days ago.
So Rob, it sounds like you're a Theta fan. Is that so? That's if someone was new to the 360 world, where would you tell them to start?
Okay. If you want to talk about 360-degree cameras, this has been hello. Good morning, Jeremy Blanton. Always,
He's not awake enough for this.
I think
with
that's a compliment.
360-degree cameras, I am now on my 4th camera in 3 weeks because I have discovered that, this one's good for this one's good for video, this one's a little bit good for both, but I could not get the resolution of the photos that I wanted without the Theta Z1. So the reason I chose the $1,800 camera is you can snap each 360-degree photo in 1 second, but you get the same quality photo as if you had that $6,000 Matterport, which takes a whole minute to spin around and take their photo. So the tour I shot this morning was a really big 5-bed, 3-bathroom house with a pool. It had 100 scans in order to create the 360-degree tour, and it took me under an hour. So totally doable with this. It would have taken 2.5 hours on a Matterport, and the quality of the photos, because this has 1-inch sensors, is great. The advantage of these cameras is you can actually use the Matterport system with them, which means your buyers can go in and measure up the fridge space. They can measure the kitchen benches, see where their couch will fit. And it also creates a realistic 3-dimensional tour of the property. Pain in the ass part about the Matterport system is it's technical, and it took me 100 scans to do the house. So for half the houses I'm shooting, I shoot Matterport, and the other half I'm using a brand new service from Box Brownie.
Yeah.
If you've ever used Box Brownie, they are a really cool company.
And you know what I saw yesterday in the Remax LLC email that came out? Box Brownie is now free to us as agents.
Whoa. God, I wish that were true. I would just live on Box Brownie if that were true. I think what they're offering for free is one virtual tour where they put in the furniture for you.
Okay, so just one?
Oh.
Just one. But if you have an empty house, they will stage your 360-degree photos with realistic furniture, and that is cool.
Very
Now,
cool.
when you set up a tour that's not Matterport, it doesn't create a map of the house, as you probably know. So you have to sit there and go, this is the living room, and over here's the bedroom, and you make the little connection to the bedroom, and then you make the connection to the kitchen, and then you turn around because you forgot to make the connection to the bedroom, and you end up making about 60 to 80 little connections on your computer in order to make the virtual tour work, and it sucks. It takes an hour of your time you don't want to do. Box Brownie, you can go to their site, upload 15, 20 photos of your house from any camera, and they will build the whole tour for you for about $20 a house.
Wow.
Awesome.
That is a brand new service as of last week. I have used it. It's great. And for $20, man, I just couldn't be bothered sitting there making sure every room connects to the right room. You forget which bedroom was off the what hallway. It drives you crazy sitting there, especially if you've shot 3 houses in one day. It's very confusing. So if you're not using Matterport, I reckon Box Brownie is the best service out there. Plus, that comes with 1 year free of hosting of your tour, so you don't have to subscribe to shit.
Right. $1,000 a year is what I was spending when I was using what was it that we used, Kenzie? I forgot what it was. That we signed up
for what?
For the
IMO
360
viewer.
tours. Yes. In Movie Viewer or whatever it was.
Yeah.
$1,000 a year.
Yeah.
So I am not a great photographer or videographer. I can do my walkthrough tours with my Osmo and I can do all of that, but I just pay someone to do my virtual tours and my Matterport and my photos because that's not.
It's not your thing.
It's not my thing. And it would take me so many hours to get it done that I'm better listing and selling property.
Well, and that's what it is, right? It's like a balance. And now Rob, would you say that now with the introduction of the new Box Brownie 360 option. Do you think that is superior or more valuable, more value for the money over ImmoViewer as well? Is that your number one pick? Okay.
Absolutely. Because with ImmoViewer, what's our redheaded friend's name down there? Tabitha, if you used a lot of ImmoViewer, man, how many hours did you sit there in front of the computer trying to connect all the rooms? Must drive you crazy, right?
Between going to the house and doing the 2 to 3 hours, if the software didn't freeze up, right?
Right.
And then come home and have other work to do, and shit, I've got to get this in today, and another hour and a half to screw around with that, and then double check it. I hired, Humati. Anybody familiar with that one?
No.
Hakuna Matata.
Hakuna Matata. Homati, Homatti, is a newer franchise company that's around where they take different territories of a state, and you own that, and then you go and video the houses with the Matterport and do that whole system. And the deal is you pay like $39 a month, and then you get all these photos and the tour, right? For $250, another $250. Well, you know what? That's why we have the show.
Thank God.
Right?
Yeah. So with the new system that Box Brownie has made up, it's really just set it and forget it. Basically, if you don't know shit about 360 cameras, you turn the thing on, you put it in the center of every room, you hit snap the photo, you move it. Oh, you have to get your body out of the room. Otherwise, you appear in every tour like this, which sometimes I do. But you move yourself out of every room, and you take the photos, and then you have 20 photos. You just send them to them, and they worry about it, make it look good, put it together, and put it up for you. So that's a unique offer in the industry, and that's why I'm recommending them to everybody, because not everyone's a technical dork like me and wants to wade through all that nonsense.
So speaking of these technical dorks, so maybe we're not going to spend $1,000 on a camera today, but if there's someone that's like, I want to take my first step into 360 and I want to use this Box Brownie feature, what camera should I invest in, Rob?
Okay, I don't have it here. I think it's in the front seat of my car. The camera that I would get if you just want an entry-level step into it is something called a Xiaomi. That's XAOMI MySphere. Or otherwise sometimes branded as a MadVenture 360. If you buy it from a company called MadVenture 360, it's orange and you're paying a lot more. If you buy it from Xiaomi, which is a big Chinese company, it's like the Apple of China, then you pay a lot less. I think they're $199 US.
Wow.
You hate that camera. Boo.
But do we really want to buy anything from China right now?
No. No,
Can we
you.
really avoid it? I mean, there's not like a Ford Matterport camera right now. Okay, so I've just had a question from Rich, and Rich says, I thought we had to take a photo every 5 feet. And, these the photos that you need for the tours that Box Brownie do, you can take one photo every room, or if it's a really big living room, you might take 2 or 3, but bedrooms, you only need 1, plus a hallway to connect those bedrooms, and that's it. So your average house might only be 15 to 20 photos, and they can build the tour for you on that because it's not Matterport and it doesn't build a full 3-dimensional mesh of the house. It's just interconnected 3-dimensional photos.
Rob, can you still get a dollhouse view from that?
No, you do not get a dollhouse view. They will offer you a floor plan that they can build, which is just a drawn floor plan, right? But you can't get a dollhouse view from that because it doesn't create the 3-dimensional mesh that the 100 photos with the pain in the ass Matterport software camera thingies do.
Right.
And way less expensive.
Way less price per tour. They end up about $5 a tour with these guys if you're buying in bulk. But for the agents that are only doing one a month, one or two, and don't want the work, just, yeah.
Perfect. So there's something for everybody. So we talked about what the tech dorks are using. We talked about what the geeks are using. What about the mid-grade camera? Because I have an Insta361. It's a little bit older. What do you think? What are your thoughts?
Okay, so mid-grade cameras, Xiaomi for the cheap camera is great because it takes a 7K photo, which is actually a much higher resolution than your Insta360 camera gathers, but it's only $200. So I actually think it takes better interior photos of a house than your camera does. The Insta360 camera is freaking awesome, and I have one. And the reason it's so good is because it is like on rollers when you want to take video. And I've seen your Insta360 video. You can walk around with that thing and no one gets seasick and tour a house with it, and it is bloody miraculous. The software is a little bit complicated to use, but it's actually quite good when you learn it. And the Insta360, even though it's a bit of an older camera, if you want to get fancy, you can put it on a stand like my camera there, and it now integrates with Matterport. So you can go.
She loves her 360.
What's that?
I said Gabriella says that she loves her 360.
Yeah, well, the Insta360, Alexa, as you know, when you take interior photos from it, the interior photos, the light's usually blown out outside or it's too dark on the inside. But when you combine it with the wizards at Matterport and you go and you shoot I don't have a device. Wait, hang on. I'll pull this up. When you go and combine it with the wizardry at Matterport and you shoot the 60 photos per house instead of the 30, Matterport edits those photos for you. So it corrects the lighting and you actually end up with an absolutely premium looking tour out of a mid-grade camera from the Insta360. For $400 US, that is probably the best value for money camera on the market because you can do so many things with it.
We're being asked if you could do a live feed from the camera.
You can do a live from the Xiaomi MySphere, the Insta360, and also the other mid-grade camera for about $400, which is the Ricoh Theta V. And the Ricoh Theta V also works with Matterport. So if you don't want to edit your own photos, you want that dollhouse view, and you want a 360, fully meshed experience, you can shoot that with the Insta or the Theta V.
Perfect. And all of these cameras you'd be able to use with the new Box Brownie feature, I assume?
Yes, absolutely. Any 360 camera on the market, if you get the shits and you don't want to edit your own tour and you don't want to take 100 photos, you just go, I couldn't be bothered today. I'm going to take my 20, I'm going to chuck them to Box Brownie, and I'm going to let their wizard sort it out. In 24 hours, it comes back to you for about $16 US.
Oh my gosh.
Anna said she has that one. I have the Theta V also.
I don't have any of them because
I'm on the show. We already got all our good stuff. Thank God. This is phenomenal.
That is definitely not Anna. That is Anna. Do not Anna my Anna.
No, there's only one N, not two. I apologize. She knows I love her.
And I know you and Anna did a show on all this too, so I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, you can. I mean, we did ramble on for about an hour about 360 cameras, but if you really want a deep dive into what the software looks like to use and how you use it and how you set up the photos, we go over 3 different software companies and 5 different cameras in that 1-hour podcast, and you can find it by going YouTube, Rob Levy, and I'm sure it's on there somewhere.
Oh, good deal.
Awesome.
By the way, did you guys see the comment from Jeremy about the dollhouse?
I did. That's what I was cracking up over.
Yeah. I've got a dollhouse I'll sell you for $30. Cash only. You got to pick it up. I'm not delivering.
I love it.
Oh, this is great. This is fantastic.
Oh, look what I just found.
What?
Is that Rob's card?
No, it's Anna's.
Oh,
Anna's card.
Anna's card.
It's literally sitting on my desk right in front of me.
Hey,
Yes, Rich says you should be getting a commission from Box Brownie. After today, they will be busier.
Well, look, I do hope Box Brownie is busier because I actually spent 8 hours with them 2 days ago up in the mountains of Mullaney testing out their system and testing out their cameras. And we were recording videos for my feed and for their feed and for Remax because Box Brownie is Remax's official supplier of photo editing. And those guys, they're in 60 countries with Remax all over the world, but they're based right here in Queensland, Australia. And they're really, really nice. They're really friendly. So I really appreciate them. And if you want to tune into Box Brownie's newsfeed next week, what we've done is we've shot the same house with 5 different cameras, and we're going to show you the results of the exact same photo from the same spot from all those cameras on the Box Brownie system.
love it.
When is
Since
that?
we're talking technology and software, I'm curious to know, what are you using to talk to your clients and prospective clients? Are you a BombBomb guy?
No, I'm a Facebook guy. I am what is going on?
I didn't do it. I didn't do it.
Is this smell-o-vision?
What?
Hang on.
Perfect. You got it.
I looked down for 1 second. I have no idea what I missed, but I don't want to know.
Kinsey's like,
She's waving off a fart over there.
hi. Happy Friday.
Right. So you asked what software I'm using to keep in touch with my clients. I run my personal Facebook page as a business because I feel like no one wants to hear from your business page. Facebook squashes the reach from your business page, so you actually get only 10% of the reach on your business page as you do on your personal page.
True.
So I took a tip from Elizabeth Reynolds Baker, and I dropped the Remax balloon in the corner of my profile photo. So every time I post something funny or I post pictures of my food or whatever, everyone is subtly reminded that, yeah, I'm a Remax agent. And I communicate with 2,000 Remax agents worldwide and hundreds of people locally via that page because I add everybody as a friend because, hey, you never know whose aunt's best friend's mother's dog's lawyer might be selling real estate at some point, and I want to get those recommendations.
Love it. Dogs with lawyers. That's great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Perfect.
So to kind of turn the subject slightly, how is Australia handling COVID-19?
Do you really want to go there? Because I feel a little bit bad talking about it.
Do you want to go there is the question.
Okay, look, I'm happy to go there. Okay, so we only had, I think, 3 cases today. That's for our entire country, the size of the US. Granted, we only have 25 million people, but look, when I got back from R4, I had a sore throat. I was freaking out because I didn't get back from R4 until March 17th because I was partying it up in Colorado, and then I was in Colorado. Oh, dude, I'm moving to Colorado as soon as
you come to headquarters. You're calling me.
So I was hanging out at headquarters, partying it up with Kayla Roof, raise the roof, and then I got back to the States freaking out because everything was going off the rails. I got back to Australia, and I went, I want to be tested, and I rang my doctor, and I got a test an hour later, and then I got another sore throat about a week later, and I went, oh man, maybe it didn't pick it up the first time. So I rang my doctor and I got a test an hour later and I was fine both times. But Australia is being extremely proactive, doing 120,000 tests a week. We've got very, very minimal cases and are considering starting reopening the economy. In fact, we haven't even fully closed schools here.
Wow.
That's incredible.
Impressive.
I mean, really, Rob, that we spoke to Italy, we spoke to Cayman Islands, Gabby from Nicaragua. Who else?
Juka from Finland.
And you're the first one that's had such a good, I mean, I hate to say good experience, but relatively good compared to the rest of the world. I mean, that is great.
I can't believe you guys tested twice.
We are blessed, and we are very, 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 very lucky. There was a point where Australia's curve matched the US curve, and we were doubling the numbers of people with COVID in this country every 3 days.
Yeah.
And I was freaking out. To be honest, I went really, really freaked out. I got really deep. I went and bought 100 packs of cigarettes because I thought money was going to lose all of its value. And what I was going to need to keep my neighbors from raiding my house for my freezer full of meat, which I bought $5,000 worth of steaks, was handing them out cigarettes to keep them happy so they would help defend my house. And I put up barbed wire. But none of that was necessary, so it's all good.
Yay! But be prepared.
Crikey, mate. You were prepared for it all.
Mate, I was legit freaking the hell out because, well, it's freaky. But then we have this massive social distancing talk with the country, and everyone starts doing it. And the testing was really good. The contact tracing was really good. The government did something incredibly stupid about 4 weeks ago. There was a cruise ship, and they just let all the passengers off, and we ended up finding that 250 of them tested positive for COVID and got out in the community without being quarantined. But other than that massive, massive mistake, it's been pretty good. Now, the people of New Zealand have 3 active cases in the entire country. That's not 3 today. That's only 3 active cases. Everyone else has recovered because they shut the hell down, said you don't even get to walk to the mailbox. No one goes anywhere until we figure this shit out. And now they're going to be able to fully reopen completely disease-free. They are killing the game, but we're not too far behind them. So I'm pretty happy with how things are going. But now I feel like, oh my God, I should have been working harder these last 3 weeks and not prepping my house like a zombie prepper because I think things are going to get going again.
Wow. So when we come to visit Australia, we're going to have plenty of steaks and cigarettes to smoke, is what you're saying.
Yeah. and because I was going so far down the rabbit hole, right? I was like, there's no hand sanitizer. And if money suddenly becomes not worth anything because you can't buy anything, everyone's going to need alcohol. So hang on.
Oh.
I went and bought myself a Turbo 500 alcohol still. So now I can make my own moonshine. And yeah, I haven't fired the thing up yet because obviously you can still go to the bottle shop and buy alcohol. But I was ready, man. I was ready for lockdown for life.
I freaking love you.
Like Alicia.
With the isopropyl alcohol.
And we've got a question here. How much toilet paper do you have?
Well, it's a bit embarrassing, right? Because I have a friend in the wholesale business, and when this shit was hitting the proverbial fan, he sent me an email and said, "Hey, Rob, I've still got a few 96 packs of bog rolls. Do you want some paper for your date?" And I said, "No, it's not a bong." Can I use it?
No, oh my God. It's a thing.
It's an alcohol still, I swear.
Well, anything can be a bong anyway.
I mean,
Take it from Tabitha. Anything can be a bong.
Anything is a bong if you try hard enough, Tabitha.
Moonshine Rob.
P.S. Jeremy and Gabby want a 360 tour of your house, your freak out house.
No. Okay. Do you guys see how neat this studio looks in this little view? Isn't it great?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I have very carefully moved all the crap that is freaking everywhere out of the realm of the camera so that I look super professional. So no 360 tours of the house because there is bloody shit everywhere.
That's Michael Thorne tactic. I like it.
So about the paper for your what? The toilet paper?
The paper for your date, mate. Your coit. You know, your date, your coit.
Man, tons of laughs. Thank God.
Roll.
Oh goodness!
I think we all need a great time together and to laugh away all the anxiety and the unknown in the world. Thank God.
Right? Like, this is just spectacular.
Okay, so we've got a koala, and what have I got here? I've got my favorite, not biologically accurate T-Rex. Yarr. Yarr.
I have my baby tiger cub on my shoulder because I got my stimulus check and I figured I needed to purchase a baby tiger like the Tiger King.
In support of.
In support of the Tiger King. I've got my tiger cub and I've got my sock monkey.
I love your sock monkey.
I know. I couldn't find my crocodile. I looked everywhere for my crocodile and
I'll see if I've got my dog.
You've got alligators. Like outside your door.
I do have alligators outside my door.
Yeah, just open your door and put a steak on the floor. You'll have an alligator in no time.
Well, it is gator mating season right now. So the gators are out in full force.
Well, that's what I want to know from Rob. I mean, we've asked every single one of our guests, why people should buy real estate or visit the country that they work in. So I want to know from Rob. Tell me something. Rob, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Hey,
tell us
Nova.
something about Australia that we don't know and why we should buy real estate there.
Okay. So the best part about living here is that it's a really clean country where everyone is genuinely given a fair go, which means everyone's really given a chance. Minimum wage is about $18.75 an hour. So even if you're just working at the Starbucks, you're still doing pretty bloody well. And, the poverty rate, even though Australians complain about it, it's, I think, well below 20%. So oh my God, the healthcare. Okay. So story time. Right before R4, I was sick and I really wasn't feeling well. And it was like 2 nights before R4 and it was 2:00 in the morning and I had a bit of a head cold. And so I called Doctor to Your Door. What's that, you say? Well, you call 1-800-DOCTOR to your door, and in about 30 minutes, a doctor shows up to your door. What does it cost? It's free.
Wow.
And why is it free? Because they don't want people crowding up the emergency rooms with nonsense. So they send doctors to your door for free. They bring prescriptions with them. They hand you whatever right there, and they leave. And you can do it as many times as you want. It's crazy.
Wow. That's impressive.
So that's free. So you said that's totally free.
100% free, as many times as you want to use it.
Is that paid for by the people in their taxes, or how is that financed?
The Australian tax rate is, it depends on what you do. Just like in America, there's so many loopholes around tax. So when I was making a lot of money in real estate selling, chairman level, I started to pay up to 50% tax, and I wasn't happy about that. But then I formed a corporation, and then my company paid me a wage, and the corporation pays certain tax on what the corporation pays in. So I was pretty easily able to keep my tax rate to about 30%, which is what everyone does. Mm-hmm. It's just that the government has different priorities. We don't have, $7 trillion in the army, but we do have free healthcare, universal healthcare for anyone. My wife and I, all those COVID tests I got were completely free. Prescriptions for mental health that were costing me $400 a month in the States are $9 here. It's a pretty cool place to live. Yeah.
And so, what is the average price of a 2-bedroom condo?
Okay.
Mid-size.
So there are only about 4 big cities here. I know that sounds wild because Australia is the same size as the US, but has the population of the greater Los Angeles area. So if you're in Sydney, a 2-bedroom condo might be $450 to $800,000 US. But if you're I'm moving to Australia. Well, that's what we did. But if you're in Brisbane, like I am, near the city, a 2-bedroom condo. I was looking at some with my next door neighbor yesterday because, hey, got to appraise next door. Love it when that happens. And we were looking at 2-bedroom apartments around my house here, and they were about US $275, and I'm about 2.5 miles from the center of the 3rd biggest city in Australia. So it's not that expensive, comparatively speaking, to big cities in the US. But if you want a beautiful house from the 1920s with 4 bedrooms and an ensuite bathroom and views of the bay, you'll pay probably $900,000 US.
Wow. I'm with Deb. Let's go.
Sorry, Jeremy's killing me over here.
I know. How many M&Ms?
Jeremy, are you drinking already, Jeremy? Because you're cracking us up.
I mean, really. How are we supposed to put on a nice show with all these comments? Okay.
Can we not encourage the Blanton? I mean, at some point.
I don't know what a Blanton is.
Jeremy Blanton. Yeah, there are things here in Australia that are more expensive. Food is much more. Yes, we do have big bugs. Food is much more expensive. You go to an average grocery store and buy food for the week for your family, you might spend $350 or $400 because living wage, right? So fruit pickers are on $18.75 an hour. And fuel, even though petrol, what do you call it? Gas has gone down quite a bit. I'm still paying $6 a gallon for gas.
Whoa.
Wow.
And that's down.
Wow.
What is it typically?
$7.50.
Okay, so even though your minimum wage is higher, they just jack up the prices of everything.
Well, some things are higher. What I do miss the most about the US is great service at restaurants, because there's no tips here because everyone's on, $18 to $22 an hour to be a waiter. So the waiters are okay. But if you're not at a really fancy $100 a person a meal restaurant, the waiters just don't care.
We have so that helps paint us a picture of our cost of living, right? Because you lived in the US and now in Australia. And actually, so Nino has a question. Rob, how many homes were destroyed by the fires? Also, hope your family and members are okay.
Okay, so my family members in the States are being really careful and they're okay. I have no Australian family members, but a lot of close friends, and they're all okay. The fires, I don't know how many homes were destroyed, but that was the biggest international disaster until, this whole thing that's going on now. It was crazy. I think an area of land roughly the size of California burned. And it just went on. What you guys don't know is it started in August and they did not stop until late January. And so the worst part of it was through December and early January. And they estimate that over 1 billion animals died, and just, it was really quite horrific. Although just with the way the climate is now, we don't know if we'll have the exact same conditions again next year, because all it takes is 2 degrees of climate change to make it dry enough here that we get a couple of months with no rain whatsoever. And eucalyptus has oils in it which are purposefully meant to burn, because then those trees can dominate, because they can survive the fire and everything else burns out. And that's how they colonized Australia, those trees. So it's like a tinderbox here when it gets really dry. And yeah, we ate roasted koala for months. It was awful. You get so sick of it. Oh.
All right. And Nino also asked if it affected home prices, the fires.
Okay, so I'm sure in a lot of small communities across Australia, yes, it was devastating because some entire towns burned to the ground. I mean, I saw some incredible video of people who the fire swept in from the hills, the entire town started burning, and they had to get into their boats in the ocean, little tiny 3-foot fishing boats to escape because there was just nothing that wasn't on fire. And they had their little kids in gas masks in the boats. I mean, it was completely mental because the fires were so big, they were generating their own weather. So those towns, of course, it's really bad for house prices if there's any houses left. But we're talking about a huge country and major cities, like only some of the very outskirts of Sydney actually were affected by it. Here in Brisbane, we're 400 miles away from it. We had some smoky days that were so smoky I couldn't see the apartments across the street from my house. But house prices here weren't affected by it. But we were very lucky that none of the forests within 400 kilometers of up went up like that. Oh, and you want to hear something crazy about the fires? I bet you guys heard that they were caused by arsonists running around Australia. Mm-hmm. That was actually fake news because less than 2% of those fires were actually caused by arsonists. But Australia's... Oh, here we go. We're getting deep into political conspiracy here. Australia's economy is really fueled by coal. There is a ridiculous amount of coal mining here, which goes to China and India and Japan. And so the companies that mine billions and billions of tons of coal hired PR firms to make up fake stories about arsonists lighting those fires, because then everyone would think it was just the arsonists and not climate change.
Oh,
I mean that happens in everywhere around the world.
Yeah, it's pretty messed up.
Fake news, man.
I remember the fight when we had the fires here in Colorado. I remember feeling like Henny Penny, like the sky was falling because there was soot, coming down from the sky, and you couldn't even sit outside. So I can't imagine fires going on that long. What it must have been like.
Yeah, it was crazy. And I feel bad for the Kiwis over in New Zealand because they apparently had lots of deaths from asthma because the fires were so bad that even though it's a 2.5 hour across the ocean plane flight to that island, they were just completely blanketed with smoke because of the winds because they were just that big.
Wow.
So on a very, very serious note here, how many kangaroos do you see per day?
You're going to think I'm pissing in your pocket and calling it rain, but we do see a kangaroo probably every 2 or 3 days. Okay, those things are everywhere. They're like mice, but a lot bigger, and they just get everywhere. So if you came to visit me, we could very easily take a 20-minute drive out to the suburbs here in Brisbane, and we could go see 50 kangaroos at a time just hopping across the fields in mass. In our last house in Townsville, we would often open the door in the morning and 3 or 4 of them would scatter off the front lawn.
They're like deer.
They're very much like deer. They're really stupid and really delicious.
Oh.
Hey, you got to keep the population down somehow, right? We need deer off our land. I don't judge.
Do you see them in the roads, like roadkill?
Yeah. When I was a Greyhound bus driver, you cannot swerve a giant bus full of 50 people.
Oh.
And so, yeah, we'd hit 5 or 6 a night some nights. It was really awful. And we have a big bull bar across the front of the bus, which is purposefully meant to shield it from roo strikes. Yeah.
Roof strikes.
Strikes.
So you have to be careful if you're on a motorcycle or something. I mean, those roos may just strike, and you're like, SOL.
When roos attack.
That could be your next series, Rob.
In all seriousness, you guys know I like to mountain bike, and I like to mountain bike at night because I'm bald. I hate the sun. And I have had kangaroos jump right across my path while I'm going 30 miles an hour on my mountain bike in the dark with my headlamp. And it's scary as hell because those things are big.
I wouldn't want to.
And then there's the spiders.
Then there's the spiders.
Then there's the spiders, because sometimes the spiders are really big too, like the size of your hand, and they like to spin a web across the entire mountain bike track, and you're going 30 miles per hour in the dark, and
Oh no.
So yeah, there's really good reasons to live here, and then there's the spiders.
Well, spiders or not, when all of this is over and COVID's gone, we're making our way to Australia.
I think you should. We have an Australia Remax High Achievers retreat where a bunch of the top agents all get together and spend 3 days learning from each other. So that would be a lot of fun to have you guys out for that.
Right up our alley.
Yes, absolutely.
Love it.
Sounds amazing.
So any last thoughts, Rob, before, any last thoughts on post-COVID life? Anything to end us on a positive note? We know this too shall pass.
Yeah, absolutely. During this time, I don't want to tell everyone what really is annoying me on Facebook, which is what everyone seems to be doing, which is, you should be learning this, bettering yourself and working hard during this time. I tell you what, I look pretty animated here at 11 o'clock at night, but I gotta be honest with everyone out there. I have been an absolute freaking mess, right? I don't know what to do with myself. I lost 5 listings to COVID. That's not because they died. That's because they decided that they didn't want to go to market. And I just did not know what to do because that was everything I had to sell. So I feel like, okay, great. I know everything there is to do with marketing in a modern way, with making video, with getting out there and reaching my audience. But you know what? That's all theory. I'm not selling anything right now. And so sometimes I have a lot of trouble getting up and getting out of bed, and I struggle with that. But I think it's a really good time to just actually be nice to yourself. We real estate agents work 90 hours a week like absolute maniac machines. If you can't do that right now, that's okay. The entire freaking world's falling apart around you. Give yourself a goddamn break, for God's sake. It's ridiculous.
Hey,
Right?
freaking man.
Like, just chill out. It's okay. And if you really, really, really feel like you need to market and do something, grab a kid's book, right? And read Where is the Green Sheep to Kids. And guess what? You're talking to your market. You're doing everyone a favor. You're branding subtly. You're being nice. And then reward yourself and say, hey, I got out there and I did something today. And it's okay to be not okay right now. And I think everyone needs to just go easy on themselves because it is tough.
Fantastic. Wow, Rob, you are just an inspiration.
I agree. And I'd like to say thank you so much for spending your evening and our morning together because it was absolutely.
Tomorrow. I tell you what, Saturday is awesome. I'm right here living it. It's dope.
We're just trying to get through Friday. Damn.
Awesome and amazing. And we are also going to be live at 1 o'clock today with 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time with Jess and Tay, our homegirls, with the homegirls. So the Housewives are going to have the homegirls on their show from Ontario, Canada. So we're excited for that. And yeah, so thank you, Rob, for being on the show. And if you decide you want to wake up I just lost my tiger cub. If you decide you want to wake up in the middle of the night, or, just stay up a little while longer, feel free to jump in and, join us with the homegirls.
What? 1 o'clock Eastern?
It's only 3 hours away.
No,
there.
definitely not. Hey, look, I just want to give a quick subtle plug before I go. The neon signs you see behind me are actually made of LED, not neon, and you can get them for your podcast studio or your Remax office from the neoncollective.com.au or customneon.com in the States. And you can see my Remax one behind me. I tell you what, I just sent them the Remax balloon, and in a week they sent me back a proof for that, and it was at my door in 2 weeks. They cost about $300 or $400 each US, and that sign is so sturdy that I carried it with me all the way to R4 and back, and as you can see, it's perfectly fine. They worked out for Remax agents. You can get 10% off with the code digital10. And get yourself a awesome neon sign for your podcast studio.
Thanks, Rob.
Sharing.
I am such a shill.
You're wonderful. Thank you for sharing that.
Hey, you guys are awesome. Thank you so much for having me on Real Housewife. My Real Housewife, it's 12 o'clock in the morning, and I've kept her up all night. So, Steph, I'll be in bed soon, honey.
Steph.
Thank you for loaning us your husband.
Thanks so much, Rob.
Awesome.
Take
Well,
care,
thank you so much.
All right. Good night.
Bye,
Good night.
guys.
All right.